I watched guys. I watched a video yesterday about was it yesterday, the day before, about how the government moves drug money around the globe and to endorse also all this abuse going around. You know what I'm saying? So the government's drug dealers. Remember, guys. You know what? I love it when I'm right. You know, because it used to be, they used to mock me and make fun and talk down to me, whatever, when I'm wrong. But when I'm right, they get silence, like you can hear a pin drop. When I'm right, they would not say a word. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like that. So anyhow, remember I told you guys, you know, the government's selling drugs. Remember that? Endorsing all these problems happening in Canada because the Chinese are cooking the drugs here in Canada, in Vancouver, underground, and they're selling they're cooking it, they're bringing it from China, and they're selling it here. They're cooking it and sell it in North America, South America. They ship it to United States and they ship it to everywhere else. So do not believe the hype where Trump saying that Canada is smuggling drugs into the United States. They're not really smuggling. How could you smuggle tons and tons of drugs? How could you? Have you seen the border? Have you seen the border? How tight it is, you cannot smuggle, you know, anything through the border, you know. But these people who bring in these drugs, the drugs were being shipped in trailers or trucks or whatever, going across border from Canada and US, are not subjected for check or thorough check. They don't. Basically, that's the rule between Canada and the United States. When they bring these drugs across border, they literally, no worries. Yeah, they literally, they get a free pass. They don't get to be searched. You know, understand? Why Vancouver, why British Columbia, and the port in British Columbia, they have removed a lot of board guard or border guard, whatever, and they remember when they used to because the Chinese used to smuggle things and smuggle people, and Canada did was they started checking the ships 20 miles or 20, I don't know, offshore, because by law, if you dock, anybody who come in illegally, they're allowed to apply for asylum in Canada, right? And so Canada created this policy to search the ships offshore before they dock, and they find anybody who's illegally or undocumented person on a ship. They send the whole ship back to China. What happened to that? Now they get in to come in and go as they please because they're cooking the drugs. They're killing the culture in Canada. Have you been to downtown? Have you been to downtown, guys? You cannot say, no, I don't know what you're talking about. A lot of cities with a lot of decay from drug abuse. Okay? And it's all done by design. They are killing a culture who's not producing, So homeless because they're not really, they don't have jobs, they don't produce, they don't pay taxes, whatever. They are bombarding them with drugs. You understand? They're killing them off with drugs. You understand? Because they're not really generating money for the country, and they look at them as Useless eater. That's what the term they used in the past. It's called useless eaters. That's what they call it. Okay? You call a human being a useless eater. You know, look. See? All of that done by design, guys. They're destroying, you know. Do you think Canada cannot stop drug being smuggled in or out? You know? No, of course. They can. If they want to, but they won't. Because generating money is a multi-billion-dollar industry. People don't understand how things are done. And now when I watch videos talking about the same thing I spoke about a long time ago, it just brings this, joy to my heart. You know what I mean? When I see that somebody else is talking about it and calling the government for what they are, I love it. I really do, honestly, guys, because I'm not the only one who's saying this. A lot of people saying stuff like that, and people are so oblivious of what's going on. They think the government's walk on water. They think they are goody goody, you know what I mean. It's like my brother. He think highly of governments. He think highly of education system, and I do not respect governments. I do not respect education system, okay, because I know what the education system is all about. I've been through the BS, that freaking noise. I've been through it, so yeah, we don't see eye to eye. When I insult the education system, he get annoyed because he's an educator. He teaches at the university. He think educator are like Jesus, Moses, Noah, gifted people. They think that way. They think of the education system. Education system need to be revamped. It's not working, Anyhow, that to the drugs. And now when I see stuff, people are talking about the same thing. It makes me happy, guys, because someone who's not targeted, who's seeing the same thing I'm seeing, or I saw a long time ago. Understand? Yeah, that's the reality of things, guys. And people are still asleep. People are asleep. They have no idea what's going on. Go back to bed.